Hi everyone, welcome back. I completely forgot to film the intro for this video when I was wearing clothes, so I'm in my pyjamas. It's the end of the day and I've actually done the whole wear test and review, and I'm now doing the intro for the video. So I just thought it'd be really interesting to give thoughts and opinions on the new, it's not anymore really, the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation for somebody who's very pale, who has dry skin, because it is transfer resistant medium coverage apparently, infused with peach and sweet fig cream. It sounds amazing, but maybe not the best for pale skin because it's got a really bad reputation for oxidizing, and also for the fact it's matte. So I would want to test it. I want to test that on my dry skin. I find matte foundations can still work for dry skin, providing you're using good skincare, potentially using a decent primer. So let's see how I get on with this. I hope you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're not already. Just get into it. So I've applied all my normal skincare, and I've also used the Too Faced Hangover Primer RX. I believe that the Peach Foundation has its own primer, but everything related to this is to do with sort of mattifying, and I have dry skin. I mean, I don't have dry patches because I really concentrate hard on looking after my skin, but I do have dry skin in the sense that when you look up types of skin, you wash your face with water and then it feels tight afterwards, apparently you have dry skin, and that's me. So most of the time it just looks like normal skin, but actually if you look at the breakdown of skin types, it's dry skin. So I got the shade Swan. Now the lady in the store seemed really knowledgeable. A lot of the time when I go to these sort of counters, I find that they don't seem to be very knowledgeable, but the lady at the Too Faced counter in Newcastle, I think it was Eldon Square in Newcastle. It was the one in Newcastle anyway. She at Debenhams in Newcastle, she knew about this. She did explain to me that I should go for the lightest shade because it does oxidize, and not to get it if I didn't like really matte finish foundation. It might not be appropriate for dry skin. So she wasn't just trying to sell me anything random. She really did know her stuff. But I really wanted to try the foundation. I actually completely forgot that they brought out the sort of dewy finish one, and that's actually probably going to be much better for me. But I love the packaging. I mean, I know it's only a plastic tube, but the gold cap and everything, it's just gorgeous. I don't know how this has happened. What I've done is I've tried a tiny little bit of this foundation on my chest, and I'll just show you that I can't see any patch there. I've been looking and looking, and I do feel that this is the right shade for me at the moment. It does look really pale on the sticker compared to what I am at the moment, but I feel like I picked the right shade. I did explain to the lady in the store though that I'm not usually this tanned, and that's why she suggested the lighter shade. When you look at the shade ranges for this foundation on Too Faced's website, this shade Swan and I think it's 3 others are in the lightest category. So I'm not sure if the one lighter than this, I'm trying to remember what it's called now. Snow. I'm not sure if Snow and this are actually different tones, different shades. It just might be different undertones, because Snow seemed to be marketed as cool, and Too Faced was saying how Swan was neutral, and I much prefer a neutral foundation. So we shall see though, and I'm not going to go and get Snow. If this is not the right shade, then for me, for the rest of the year round, I'll just mix it with the NYX white foundation. But yeah, I can see what people mean about oxidizing. I mean, if you've watched YouTube videos on this before, you'll know that it really does oxidize. I've never seen anything like it. Literally, people can show you on the face the bits that's dried, the bit that's not. It's just crazy. But nevertheless, I deliberately went with Swan because I know that I've only just come back from being abroad a couple of a couple of weeks ago, and so I really wanted to not have to wait too long to use it. I also feel like with it being a matte finish foundation that I should probably apply it with a sponge, especially since I've got dry skin. But I've decided moving forward that if a foundation needs for me to apply it with a sponge and it's not going to perform well with me with a brush, I'm going to avoid it, because as much as I like the finish of a sponge, the maintenance of sort of wetting the sponge and just the cost of having to replace the sponge all the time is not something that I want to endure moving forwards. I mean, I've been to the Estee Lauder counter time again, and I've seen the ladies apply, and they've applied it to me, the Estee Lauder Double Wear, and they use a brush, I think with matte foundations and using a brush, this sort of foundation using a brush, I'm using the Real Techniques buffing brush, is that you just have to make sure the brush is really clean. So I know that really goes without saying. I'm just using another small amount like that, nowhere near a full pump. If I'm using a foundation that is not like this, let's just use, for example, Rimmel 25 Hour or Rimmel Wake Me Up, something a little bit more radiant. I find that I can sort of wash my brush every 2 to 3 days. That might sound disgusting to some people, but that's just how I operate. I'm fine with that. I don't get spots or anything. So I find that with this sort of foundation, you have you can't have foundation already in the bristles. The bristles have to be clean in order to make it work. Now, I feel like it is looking a bit pale right now. I don't know what that is. My son probably scratched me. I feel like it's looking a little bit pale right now. Not that it matters with this dress because you're not going to see much of my skin. But it's blending into my neck quite well. And it is warming up. The shade is getting darker, oxidizing on my skin, which is exactly what I knew would happen. Yeah, so matte. It's so unusual for me to wear that. Let's just put a tiny bit more on and smell it. I'm ever so slightly bunged up at the minute, not too much, but I'm glad that it's not strong. Not because I care. I like this peachy and figgy scent. But I don't know if my skin would appreciate too much of a fragrance. Just going to build it up in certain areas. So I'm liking it so far. I will say, I think I'm going to try this in different methods before I upload the video. I hope I get a chance to, because I want it to be a proper review and not just a first impressions. But I will say that when I turn my head like this, it's picking up on all of the hair on my face. I don't consider myself to have a hairy face, but that's not something I notice in the foundations I generally use. Even Estee Lauder Double Wear, which is full coverage and matte, I don't sort of notice that. But I do feel like it's sort of ironically picking up the peach fuzz. Yeah, that's definitely a medium coverage rather than a full coverage, but I think you could potentially, I feel like you could achieve full coverage if you kept going. So I'm going to consider that done for the moment. I'm looking very, very pasty, but that's good because I'm hoping that that's the extent to which it oxidizes, and in which case it'll be great for me to wear this winter when my tan fades off. So it is now 11 minutes past 12. That's me and my husband and my daughter at my brother's wedding. And I'm going to try and get some good wear out of this to give you an idea of how it wears. I'm not going to powder it or anything because I really am not the type of skin type that would need to do that. And yeah, I'm going to put some bronzer on as well and stuff because the fact that it's too light for me at the moment. And I am also going swimming later, probably. If my son's feeling better, I'm going to take him in the pool. My daughter's having her swimming lesson, and that'll be around about 5-6 o'clock. And so when I do my final check-in, we'll see how it has actually withstood that. I don't intend to get my face wet because I've just dyed my hair today. It'll be like a bloodbath, so I don't intend to get this area actually wet. And so we should be able to see sort of how it performs properly. I'm not just going to be sitting around the house all day. Okay, so I'll try and do a check-in as well between now and then, and see you in a bit. So I'm just in the middle of doing the rest of my makeup. I've applied some bronzer and my concealer so far, and I've gone and looked at it in natural light up towards my mirror, and this foundation is really unflattering around my nose. I feel as though it's sort of making me look like I've got crusty, flaky skin, and as though I've got open pores here, which I must have for it to be sort of accentuating them. But I've never noticed that before. That's never been a problem for me before. you could apply, I suppose, a pore filling primer, but I've literally never had to do that. So, I mean, I'm not going to buy that, especially just to make a foundation work for me. I'm finding that it's not really settling into my smile lines, which is good. But I can sort of, it's accentuating the crease. So it kind of just, it makes my skin look a bit more mature than it needs to. I'm going to try and sort of salvage the look for the day with the Moisture Surge face spray, and I am going to continue with the review, but I just felt like I should let you sort of know straight off the bat that I intend to try and return this foundation. It is not for me. Yeah, it really is not for me. I think there are foundations out there with a matte finish that you don't need to have oily skin to be able to use. I mean, I don't have oily skin, so I can't speak for that, but I feel as though you would need to have oily skin to even have a chance of having this work, and it might work then. So that's looking a little bit better, but it's not dry yet. So yeah, I'm going to do the rest of my makeup and just see how I get on. So here it is with my makeup done. It is now 12:40. It doesn't look too bad with everything else on. I will say I really regret having sprayed the Clinique spray before doing my eyes, because now I've got Fallout City stuck to my entire under eye and cheekbone area, but I've sort of blended it in and gone over the top with the highlighter, so hopefully that sort of disguised it. But yeah, we'll see how we get on. It's not my favourite at the moment. I'm still sort of feeling like I'm having to try too hard to get it to work. I'm going to try it on another day mixed in with an oil, because I often mix my Estee Lauder Double Wear with an oil. But I just sort of think like if I'm considering just seeing if they'll let me return it, or maybe even just exchange it for like the dewy one. I'm not sure if you can get that in the UK. I've got the Too Faced Gingerbread Palette on my eyes, which I absolutely love. But just as a complete side note, everybody else is sort of saying that there's minimal fallout from all the reviews I've read. I don't know if it's just the affordable brushes I use. I use Real Techniques and Zoeva brushes mainly, and a couple of Bdellium tools, but I have serious fallout with this, but I love it. Like, I love it. I love it with all my heart. So yeah, it's not going anywhere, but this foundation is probably going back. So yeah, let's see how it fares on over the next few hours. Hi everyone, it's 4 o'clock, so I've had this on for 4 hours now. I feel the same about it as before. I mean, it does look pretty much the same as when it went on. So I can understand why people who struggle with makeup breaking down throughout the day might like this. It does look a little bit cakey on me, even though it's medium coverage, especially around the nose area. It's really unflattering. I can see little like dots around my nose, very strange, although that could possibly be fallout from the eyeshadow. As I said, I'm looking forward to trying this in a different way. But I know tomorrow I'm going to a shopping centre, and if they accept the foundation back there, I might take it back before I've tried it with any face oil or anything, because it was quite expensive for me for a foundation. I usually use foundations that are work out approximately £5 to £7 a bottle. This was 27, and so it's a massive difference, and so really I want to absolutely love it in order to keep it, and I don't. So it is no oil at all. Like, I mean, I'm not combination. I do have dry skin, but sometimes, depending on time of the month, I can be at work and I can see like a real shine here and here, and I sort of blot it and it's shiny sometimes, and there's nothing there, and I would expect there to be a bit of that, and maybe not after 4 hours, maybe closer to 8, but we'll just see. So far it's holding up really well. I'm still not happy with the finish, and I think I'm going to spray some more Clinique face spray in a moment, just to give myself a bit more hydration, and see where we go from here. Hi everyone, it's 8:30. I would like to have gone a bit later than that, but the kids are in bed. The other half, my husband wants to watch Game of Thrones and chill out and have some wine. So we're just going to end the video here. 8.5 hours, to be honest, on a work day. I would put my makeup on at 7:30 a.m. and I wouldn't leave work till 5. And then after picking kids up and getting home, it'd be like 6. So 8.5 hours wouldn't really slice it with a normal working day, but for every day it would be fine. Let's have a look. It still feels quite dry. I don't think I've necessarily been the fairest person to test this foundation, to be honest, just because, you know, I don't have oily skin, but at the same time I will say it's very, very makeup-y. If you're happy with your face seriously looking like you've got a load of makeup on, that's fine. And it might sound silly because I'm a makeup addict, and I think if you're watching YouTube channels for makeup, you're probably a makeup addict. But I don't mind looking like I've got a lot of makeup on in regards to a bold colour, lip colour, eyeshadow, whatever. But for my actual skin, I don't suffer with texture problems. I don't suffer with, I don't know, I'm happy with my skin, and so I don't necessarily mind if it shows through. And I do tend to go for medium coverage foundations, and this one's medium coverage, but I like my foundation to look like skin, is what I'm saying to you. I don't want my foundation to look like foundation. My eyeshadow looks like eyeshadow, no problem. My mascara looks like I'm wearing mascara, no problem. But I don't want my foundation to look like foundation. I actually want it to look like skin. And this doesn't look like skin at all. So my original plan was to try it with oil and stuff. But I don't see how this is going to do anything for me, this foundation, any more than, what have I done with it? Than, for example, Estee Lauder Double Wear, which to me does the same job but better, because it is a bit more coverage and less cakey, less makeup-y, and I can mix that with an oil if I want long-lasting foundation, but I don't want it to be so matte. So yeah, it's not really for me. I'm going to see what they say tomorrow. I've still got the receipt. I'm hoping they'll let me return it. If not, I might exchange it. I am really, really interested in the dewy finish one, but I'm not even sure if that's in the UK at the minute. For example, the gingerbread palette, which I've got on today, I've had to order this online, and within a couple of days of me ordering it, it went out of stock. They just completely removed it from the website. It's not available in store at all. I've not seen it anywhere. So it's a funny one, but yeah. That's my thoughts and review. I just thought it'd be really interesting to give my thoughts on something when it's well renowned for being matte, well renowned for being oxidizing. So for a pale girl to do a review with dry skin, to do a review on that, I thought might be an interesting take. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and just let me know if you've got any comments or questions. Leave them for me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.